How's it going, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here, still battling a little bit of a summer cold or something like that, but I appreciate you being patient with me. Here's the books I picked up this week. I'm going to break them down now. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back and happy new comic book day. I want to give a big shout out to Cadets Toys and Comics who help design the poll lists and everything, put all the book orders in, get the shipments in, have to deal with all the stress of doing all that stuff. So I really appreciate those guys. If you want to know more about Cadets Toys and Comics, go down below in the description. You'll find a link to everything Cadets. So you can check them out there and follow them and see if they can do something for you. So check them out. But we are here to see what I picked up this week. We're going to start over in the big two as we always do. We got Marvel first with Immortal X-Men. This is issue number 2. Issue number 1, I was a little bit lukewarm on. I picked up all these new number 1s to just kind of jump into the deep end a little bit. And this is a book that was kind of like run of the mill, kind of like, you know, it didn't really do it for me, but it's only an issue and this is issue number 2. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time and see where it goes from here. I hear this one has a little bit more action in it, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on in Immortal X-Men number 2. We're going to go over into X-Men Red next. And now I'm not a huge legacy reader of X-Men, so I didn't appreciate a lot of stuff that happened in the first issue. I feel like a lot of you guys that have a really big knowledge of X-Men appreciated it way more than I did. I'm going to keep running with it, get familiar with the characters, try to understand what's going on in here. Al Ewing's on it, so how bad could it possibly be, right? It's got to be pretty good. The next Marvel book we're going to get into is Thor, issue number 25, Banner of War, part 2. Didn't really like part 1 all that much. I just didn't understand why. I don't understand the why. I get the who and the how, but why are we doing this? Don't quite know yet. Is El Paso the only reason? Okay, great. But I don't know. It seemed a little bit of a weird thing to go from where we were in Hulk arc number 1 into this, and then where Thor just left off. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I did like some of the little details that, you know, when they played around with like Banner's personalities and Banner's like segmented brain. I did like that. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. A little bit interested in that. So it looks like an oversized issue as well. Thor number 25. Then Venom Lethal Protector, issue number 2. I was really liking issue number 1. And so I liked it especially because it feels like an old story told in a modern way. When I go back and read a lot of like the Volume 1 X-Men or Volume 1 whatever, the books that came out in like the 60s, 70s, I appreciate what's going on, but some of the language used, some of the writing styles kind of bog it down, really date it, right? And I mean, like, that's unavoidable. It's what we're going to say 30 years from now when we read these books. But I will say that it has that classic feel, but it has like modern tones and modern language use, which I really think is cool. So yeah, Lethal Protector issue number 2. We'll see where that one goes. That's it for Marvel. We're going to hop over to DC next. And the first book in DC is Catwoman, issue number 43. We have the Frizzen cover, of course. Teenie Howard is on this. And I'm just noticing right now that the art has changed. The artist on here has changed. And so that's going to be interesting. That was probably one of the biggest reasons why I was reading this book. It wasn't necessarily for the story, but it was for the covers and for the interior art. So that's going to be interesting. We have Jordi Belair on the cover still. We have Bangle on the art. So we're going to see what that does to my enjoyment of the run overall. We'll see. It looks like there's a lot of Harley in here. So we're going to see what happens in this one. It might be time just to pick these up for cover buys, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see going forward. World's Finest, issue number 3. We have Mark Waid. We have Mora and Bon Villain. And so I like this one too. It's the exact same thing that's happening with Lethal Protector. It's like an old classic feel of the characters told in a modern way, which is great. Art on top of it. And so I really liked issue number 1 and 2. Looking forward to reading number 3. And the story's pretty classic too. Pretty classic story. That's it for DC. Only got those 2 DC books. We're going to go into some indies, starting with Image first. And the first book for Image is I Hate This Place. And I picked this one up because it was a new number 1. It was an interesting title. It's from Kyle Starks and Toplin, I believe, is on the art for this. And so it was an interesting premise. And I actually have read this book already. I can't wait to tell you what I thought about it on Nick at Night, coming this Friday night. So stay tuned for that. We're going to jump over to a Joe Hill, David M. Boer issue of Rain, issue number 5. Now, I think this is the last issue in this run, in this volume right now. And we'll see where it goes from here. I think I just know where it's going to go. I don't know how they're going to wrap up everything in just one issue. we'll see though. We'll see. How have you guys been enjoying Reign so far? I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. I think some people got in issue number 1, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it since. So let me know what you guys thought about that one. Another Image book we picked up was New Masters issue number 4. I'm just stacking these right now. I read issue number 1. I think 2 was late a couple weeks. Then I got 3, then I got 2, and then I got 4. I'm just stacking these right now. I might end up just canceling it. It was an interesting premise, but you know, there's just a lot of books and I'm already 3 behind. So that's what usually happens when that situation comes up. So unfortunately, how are you guys feeling about New Masters? If you're reading it, let me know down below. All right, I have an issue number 2 of a book I was really interested in. This is A Town Called Terror issue number 2. And the first issue was intriguing. I think the art really stood out. The story was interesting. I think the pacing was a little bit off. And I feel like it wasn't meant for single issues. You know what I mean? Like it was a little bit of abrupt. We didn't really get a whole lot of meat, but we got a lot of interesting premise. And we got some really cool art, like I said. So anxious to see how far issue number 2 takes the story and see if that theme plays out. And yeah, but if you haven't checked this one out, I would recommend it because it's a pretty cool idea. We'll see how far we get in issue number 2 though. And another book I picked up, this is actually from Dark Horse Comics. This is the Shaolin Cowboy. And I picked it up because I know this was a previous thing. I never really got into it. And it was a new number 1. My shop had a few of them. They had this cool Mignola variant right here too. So I went ahead and picked this one up. And the art, it looks incredible inside here. I was flipping through it. I'm like, all right, I'm already sold. So we're going to check this one out. I know nothing about it. It looks like an interesting book though, and I hear some good things about it so far. So we're going to check out Shaolin Cowboy. Another book that came into the shop a few weeks late is 78 Miles Per Hour. And this is actually from, who is this? StonebotComics.com. So we're going to check this one out. The solicitation was fun. The cover first got me. That's what got me interested. The solicitation itself was something like the world is, global warming has gotten to a point where you can't stay still or you just kind of melt where you are in your place. Kind of like a Chronicles of Riddick escaping from the prison and trying to beat the sun kind of a thing. And so that was an interesting premise. Flipping through the book, it definitely has an interesting art style. So we're going to see where this story goes and if it's worth picking up other issues. Did anybody read 78 Miles Per Hour? Let me know down below. And the last book we picked up is actually from Boom Studios, House of Slaughter, issue number 6, the beginning of the second arc of House of Slaughter. Now, if you've been following my reviews, I didn't really dig the first arc of this. It focused too much on the relationship that I didn't really care about. I was more focused on the lore, the different aspects of the houses. I've used this many times before, but I feel I wanted it to be like a John Wick kind of a thing, where in John Wick 1, we understand the main character and his immediate issues with the house that he's in. But then as we go into John Wick 2 and 3, we get introduced to more and more people. We understand more about how the different houses work together and the complexity of the society that they built. And so I was hoping that that would be the direction we took, but it was more focused on a relationship. And so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But some of the rituals they introduced into that one really piqued my interest, and I was really paying attention to that moment. And so I think we're going to get more of that in here too, or at least a taste of it. So that's my expectation going in. I hope I'm not disappointed because it's a very interesting world. It's a very interesting culture and society that they've introduced. And I want to know more about the different masks, the different roles, the responsibilities, and things like that. So I hope we get that in House of Slaughter 6. So that's what I picked up this week. I can't wait to get these books read. I got a majority of them read already. I'm going to tell you what I thought about them at Nick at Night Friday. You don't want to miss that one. But like I said, let me know what you picked up down below in the comments and what you're looking forward to the most. But as always, thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos. I appreciate you watching. See you in the comments.